Hi there, and welcome to a series of videos that should help you to be able to become competent in your core modules. And so I'm going to take you through the portfolio of evidence and guide you along some of the questions. I know that some of you have forgotten a little bit about what was done in class, and so hopefully this will refresh your memory and also be able to help you to complete the portfolio of evidence in order to become competent on this program. So let's go to phase number one. Phase number one and question number one. So it is found on page number 19 of your first module and the first part of the portfolio. So it asks, explain the concept leadership. So really, whatever definition you have of leadership, it is correct. There's no such thing as a wrong answer here, but it is really just saying there is someone who will take a team of people, a group of people, on a journey towards a common goal. So influence, guide, give direction, gives focus to, as long as there is something about moving a group of people towards a common goal or an objective or towards a vision, that is what leadership should be. Then question number two. It is four definitions of a leader. So, four things that a leader does that is part of the definition. And so you can find definitions of leadership in your notes in phase number one, and I should have them available here. So, let me see if I can find it. It is phase number one, and there are four leadership definitions. Now, there's a lot more than just four, but let's go here. Okay, so leadership styles, section number 4, and it's going to talk about different definitions of leadership. So let's see if I can find it. Leadership roles, leadership styles, and definitions of leadership should be the next little section. There we go. Okay, so you have got bureaucratic leaders. Okay, bureaucratic leaders put lots of systems and processes and forms and checklists in place in order for high amount of control. So that would be anyone within a home affairs or anyone in the military or anyone who has very high health and safety needs. So that is what a bureaucratic leader would be. They work with systems, processes to ensure the safety of its people, to make sure that the right processes are followed. So if that's something that you enjoy as a definition of leadership, then you use a bureaucratic leadership definition. You also have charismatic leadership. It's someone with a big personality who can inspire people to follow them. So it's really about their personality and using their personality to inspire and attract people in order to grow something or build something. So that's what a charismatic leader does. Task-oriented leader just focuses on the task, specifies the task, gets a person to do the task in order to move people forward. Now, it doesn't sound really fun to follow someone who is just task-driven, but ultimately they get the job done, but they don't really care about you as an individual. You also have someone who is a transactional leader. Transactional leader says, I will give you something if you do something for me. So do this task and I'll give you a reward. Don't do this task and I will punish you. So again, it doesn't sound like much fun because they don't care about you as a person, but they will give you something to do something. They put a contract in place and you will be held to the contract. So that's the way that a transactional leader works, and that's the definition of transactional leadership. Then you've got a transformational leader. Transformational leader says, we're going on a journey. I will grow you. I will equip you. I will develop you in order to keep that movement going, in order to get the journey completed. So as they grow, you will be taken on a development journey and you will have the skills and you will be able to take that journey a little bit further. So transformational leadership is those kinds of people. Then servant leadership are people who don't see themselves at the top of the chain. But what they do is they come down to the bottom and they help and they get their hands dirty and they serve in order to empower those to actually do the job. So what you find is a servant leader steps down from their top office onto the floor level, gets to know people, gets to serve people, gets to empower and equip people in order for them to get the job done. Then you have a visionary leader. Often, these are people who know how to talk really well. And so, what they do is that they set a vision for the team and they inspire that team to move towards the vision. Also helps them with their decision making because they got the vision in mind and they are able then to make decisions based on the vision and they are empowered to be able to make those decisions. Then you have got trait leadership. So people with different kinds of personality traits that inspire people to follow them. So it could be things like um, a good speaker, or transparency, or empathy, or honesty, or integrity, or assertiveness, or confidence. People have got certain personality traits, and because of those personality traits, they make good leaders, and then people follow them. But those leaders want to develop those characteristics in their followers as well. And so you've got a whole bunch of different leadership styles or different leadership definitions. So what you need to do is you need to choose four of them, okay? And who you would see as someone who embodies that definition of leadership. So as they say, a leader is someone who is an agent of change, someone like Gandhi. Transformational leadership. Who are people who have done that? Bureaucratic leadership. What kind of people do bureaucratic leadership? Transactional leadership. Who are people that embody transactional leadership? Transformational leadership. Who are people who do that? Visionary leadership. So you choose four definitions of a leader, and you tell me who would embody that, or what kind of position would embody that specific leadership definition. Then question number 3, it says, what do you think makes a good leader? So here, think of a good leader. Think of someone who you have worked for that is a good leader. What was it about that specific person that made them a good leader? What are the qualities? What are the roles that they played? Were they mentoring you? Were they motivating? Were they compassionate? Were they honest? Were they genuine? Did they speak well? Did they have confidence? Did they problem solve? What was it about that person that made them a good leader? And list 5 of the qualities or roles that they played. Then question number 4 is talking about the difference between leadership and management. The difference between leadership and management. And so it's in your notes. It tells you the difference between leadership and management. So let me see if I can find that for you, and where you can find the difference between leadership and management. So 2 very different kinds of ways of getting to the end goal, but hopefully it will be there. Leadership versus management. There we go. Okay, so what you'll see is there's leadership terms, and then there's a difference between managing and leading. Okay, so leaders are the heart of the business. The essence of leadership is inspiring a group to come together towards a common goal. So that might be a good definition for leadership as well. Leaders motivate, innovate, create visions, and work with people to keep them bonded and moving them forward. That the set a direction, communicating to anyone who will listen, and keep people psyched when things get tough. Managers are the brains of a business. They establish systems, create rules and operating procedures. They plan, organize, direct, and control. Leaders form the direction towards a management function. Although you can find leaders out there who are not managers, take Nelson Mandela as a prime example. So leaders create inspiration, and managers put together the systems, the processes. They plan, they control, they direct, they use people as resources in order to achieve a specific outcome. So is that the difference between leadership and management? I'm pretty sure that one is the heart of the organization, the other one is the brains of the organization. But you can go back to your notes and you can see what the difference is. Then you've got to give your own example. So when you have led, you have maybe you motivated an individual, maybe you coached an individual, maybe you inspired a team to be able to achieve something specific. So give me an example of when you have led. But then I also want to know about when you have managed. So you wrote a SOP, you controlled the budget, you planned a new project. So those are very specific management processes. So tell me about what you did when you managed well. Then discuss 5 techniques of leadership and how effective you believe each one is. Draw from your own experience where possible. So again, it goes back to those beautiful things that we taught you: autocratic, okay, democratic. So you'll see there, autocratic leadership, democratic leadership, laissez-faire leadership, and results-centered leadership. So those are 4 very big leadership processes. But you also can use the things like servant leadership, transformational leadership, visionary leadership, because they are still very often used within a business. So give us 5 of those. So I would say start with your 4 main ones: autocratic, democratic, laissez-faire, and results-driven, and then throw in a transformational or a visionary or a servant leadership style. And then tell me how effective you believe they are. So maybe you say autocratic, it's very effective when working with new employees because you're giving them instructions and you're upskilling them to be able to get you the results that you need. But it's from your experience. How effective has autocratic been? Okay, how effective has democratic been? And add a little bit of detail to those 5 techniques. Then over here, you are going to do an analysis. So go for your autocratic, democratic, and maybe results driven. When do you use those different techniques? How does this technique help with group dynamics? How does it help you to meet your objectives? And is this technique in line with company requirements? Well, very much so. Most of them should be yes. It depends on your company's culture. And then how could you as an individual improve on that specific technique? So let's say autocratic. When do you use it? Well, with new employees. How does it help with group dynamics? Well, it gives clear instructions in order to give direction to the team. How does it help you to meet your objectives? Because autocratic gets you quick results, it definitely helps the organization to get the results they want. Is it in line with company requirements? Well, especially when we talk about health and safety, working with new employees, giving them direction and clear instruction, it is definitely in line with company techniques. And then you need to decide, how could you improve on this? Sometimes I need to be more assertive. Sometimes I need to give clear instructions. Sometimes I need to give focus during crisis times. So that's maybe how you could improve. And then you take 2 others and you're going to expand on that. Then question number 8 says, does your organization require a specific approach to leadership? So depending on your company's culture, you tell me. So maybe it's you require a democratic approach because you want people to participate. You want them to make good decisions at lower levels. So maybe your company is about autocratic because it has to be very much about the regulations, health and safety. Maybe that is the focus point of leadership. But based on your company's culture and what your company expects, tell me about what your company's specific approach to leadership might be. All right, then you're going to look at your team. I want you to think of 3 members of your team or people that you work with. Tell me about the tasks or goals that they need to do that helps you to get to the end result that you need. Then tell me, what style do you mainly use with them? Is it an autocratic style, a results-driven style, a democratic style, a laissez-faire style? And then tell me why you would use that style with that specific person. Okay, so that is an analysis. At the bottom, your manager is expected to sign because they obviously have oversight of you and your team, and then you as a learner, you will sign. All right, then we did the two situational analysis in class. So please be aware of that and make sure that you have listened and that you would have been able to do Sindiswa's situation and Harvey's holiday. Okay, then you are going to do a very similar process. So remember, we did Sindiswa's situation, we did Harvey's holiday. You are going to use the same process with one of the people in your team or someone that you work with. You are going to delegate a task to them. So you are the manager in this situation. Your subordinate, put their name in there. Identify a task that you are going to delegate. Maybe it is a report or a checklist or something that you used to do that you're going to give to them to be able to do. Then you tell me, are they able to do it? Are they willing to do it? Based on that, you decide what stage. Now, if they're unable or unwilling, well, then maybe you need to be autocratic with them because you say, well, that's the expectation. It is in your contract. I expect you to do it. Maybe they are unable but willing. So they don't know how to do it. So you could use a autocratic style and be able to tell them and give them clear instructions. Or you could use a results driven style, which means that you coach and you're going to get results out of that situation. Then maybe they are able but unwilling. So if they're unwilling to do it, well, then you definitely have to be autocratic. You're going to say, well, unfortunately, I am your manager and you are my subordinate, and I expect you to do it. It's part of your contract, part of your role clarification. And so I'm going to be autocratic. If you do not do it in the next 2 weeks, well, then you will have to face disciplinary action. You're going to have to be autocratic in that situation. And then able and willing. Now, if they're able to do something and willing to do it, don't get too involved. Let go of the reins. Have a free rein or a laissez-faire style. Then, based on the style that you have approached, tell me what behavior they can expect from their manager. Right, so if you do a laissez-faire, well, they expect you to let go and let them have full control over that task. If you're autocratic, well, they expect clear instructions about how you expect them to do that specific task. Then you tell me, if you had used a totally different leadership style, what might the reaction be? So it might be confusing, it might be frustrating if you use a leadership style that is not suited to that specific situation. Then, based on the task, tell me if you would need to develop that person and how you would develop them. And that is where you would put the developmental plan. Then, what is the biggest challenge facing you as the manager in order to get them to do that task? You tell me here. And then, what is the biggest challenge for the person who is going to take over the task? What do you see them being challenged with? And you're going to put that in here. All right, then, now that you know everything about autocratic, democratic, results driven, laissez faire style, you also know about servant leadership, you know about transactional leadership, about bureaucratic leadership. You're going to have a discussion with a team about those different kinds of leadership styles and the different leadership definitions and about leadership in general. So you have some discussion points. You're going to tell them about the different styles, how you intend applying them, how it's being used in the business. Okay. Then, based on the discussion that you have, tell me about the team feedback. What did they say? What did they discuss? What were the things they wanted more information about? So, over here is where you record those details. Then, any other comments that might have come through in that discussion. At the bottom, when you do that discussion, you put a date down and you get your team to sign. Okay, then you will be competent for that section. All right, the next thing that we are going to do is Unit Standard 242821. Okay, so let's take a look at that. It is on page number 35, Phase 1, page number 35. So the first thing that you are going to do is you are going to explain what your duties are as a team leader. If you're a team leader, if you're a 2IC, what would you be required to do when you step in as a team leader? So maybe you need to plan, maybe you need to motivate, maybe you need to control, maybe you need to run meetings, maybe you need to generate reports. So tell me all the things that you would have to do as a team leader that makes you different to a team member. Then, if you have a job description that analyzes those different functions, then attach it if you have one. Then, what I want you to do is to think about other team leaders within your organization. What do they have to do? Maybe they also have to plan. Maybe they have to lead. Maybe they have to implement. Maybe they have to discipline. Maybe they have to motivate. Maybe they need to control. So tell me all the things that another leader, maybe in a different department, would have to do, but that you all have in common. Then I want you to think about the definitions of responsible. If you are responsible for a specific task, what does that mean? Do you have to do it? Are you expected to do it? Do you have to do it yourself? Well, responsible would say that that is something that you have to do and you're being held accountable to do that specific task by yourself. Accountable is slightly different because this is what team leaders are. You don't have to do that specific task, but you are held accountable for the results and the consequences of that task. So if it's done badly, well, it reflects on you. You are accountable for the bad job. If it is not done at all, you are held accountable for making sure that that job is done. So responsible means you have to do it physically. Accountable means that you are going to take on the consequences of that job being done. And what does authority mean? Well, authority means that you have been given certain powers to put actions in place to get the job done. So the more authority we have, the more we can get done. The less authority we have, the less we can do. But when we are given a responsibility, we need to be given the authority to be able to get that job done. So what powers have you been given to be able to get the job done? Question number 4 says, explain the advantages and disadvantages of organizing individuals into teams in your organization. So it should be in your note somewhere. It talks about why it's a good thing to have teams, why it's a bad thing to have teams, because in some situations you definitely know that teams can be quite difficult to manage and that sometimes you just want them to work as individuals. But there are definitely advantages to having people in teams. So let's see, it's in the section. So let's see if I can find it. There we go. The advantages and disadvantages of teams. You'll see over there. If you want to, you can just pause the video and you can decide on which advantages and which disadvantages you are going to put down in your portfolio of evidence. Okay, so there you go. Then over here, the facilitator would have taken you through the role clarification process. So if you've done it in your formative work, all that you need to do is you need to transfer it from your formative into your summative. So take what wording you used and you just write it over here. So just remember your job title and then to put down your responsibilities, your measures, and the authority that you have in order to get your job done. And so you are going to take from your formative section and rewrite it in your summative. Now remember, you might not be competent unless you have made sure that your name and your signature are there and that your manager puts their name and their signature and that there is a date. Remember, any open blocks and the assessor is not going to be happy. So remember to make sure that you have got all of your dates and all of your signatures and names that you need. All right. Now, the next couple of things are all things that were done in your formative areas. Okay, so sorry, this one's not going sideways. So you will see on this page, you've done it in your formative work. So please just transplant the wording onto page 38. It's talk about the performance standards of your team. It's been explained during classes from your facilitator. It is also in your formative section. The same thing here is also in your formative notes. So phase 1, page 39. All that you have to do is go take a look at your formative notes, take it out, and then just rewrite it over here. Then we spoke about a team performance improvement plan. So there is a place where maybe your team is underperforming. So we asked you to please put together a plan of how you're going to increase the performance. Okay, so what is your performance plan? Please make sure that you put a goal in there. So I want to increase the health and safety of my team to make sure that there are 0 incidents by the end of the year. So that's very specific. So what do you want to do? You want to improve the health and safety. How do we know that it's going to be good? We want 0 incidents. By when does it have to be done? Well, by the end of the year. So we have a good understanding of what you want to do. Then give me the steps that you would have to take in order to make sure that your health and safety is improved. So maybe everyone needs to check that they have the right PPE. Maybe there needs to be a retraining on health and safety. Maybe one of your team is going to be responsible for health and safety, and that any issues or worries are going to be reported on time. So you tell me the steps you can take to be able to improve the specific performance of your team. Again, at the bottom, stakeholder names and signatures. So anyone who is involved in the project, they would put down their names and their signatures, and it also has to be dated. Okay, so please remember that and to fill in the plan. Then the last thing is you're going to show all those documents. So the team performance standards, the team roles, as well as the team performance improvement plan. And you will get your team to make a comment on that, or at least to read it and to give you some feedback. Over here, get a couple of your team members to discuss it, and then one of your team member to give you feedback. So do they understand the purpose of their team? Do they understand what is required of them? Do they understand their roles and their outputs? Has the team performance matrix been discussed with them? Has the team performance improvement plan been discussed with them? And are they being monitored according to targets and deadlines? If they are happy with all of that, they will probably mark you very high. Any comments that come out of that discussion, they will put down there, and then one person will sign on behalf of the team, and they will do it over there, and they will date it. Okay, then, ladies and gentlemen, that is the completion of your first phase of your portfolio of evidence. So hopefully that has helped you a little bit. If you have any questions, I'm going to put my contact details at the bottom of this video. And yeah, give us a shout. We want to see you competent. We want you to get those 51 credits. We want to see you moving up in your organization. We want to see you applying those different skills that you have just been given, because you are worthy, you are valued, and we do believe that you have the potential to succeed as a team leader.